welcome everyone. Today, as I mentioned before, is a big day. It's election day. I hope you had an opportunity to get out to the polls or to mail in your ballot if you don't go in person. It's a day when a lot of us go to the polls. I went this morning, but it's also the day when more than half our country's eligible voters don't go to the polls. Lack of engagement. You know what? Yep, I am, guys. I don't know what to tell you other than I am in the absolutely wrong run of show, which is weird because it even started the right way. So it's a good thing I am here amongst friends and now I am opening the right thing because that was dumb of me. So all that stuff is true about elections. I do hope that you went.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I have something as heavy as that is, a little bit heavier, unfortunately, to talk about before we begin today. We wanted to offer a little bit of tribute to our friend, our colleague, a treasured and trusted and loved member of the NeoSTEM family who we lost just under 2 weeks ago today. Dr. Terrence Robinson, if you didn't know already, I'm sorry to bring you the news, but Dr. Terrence Robinson passed away on Thursday, October 21st. He was 46 years old. His contributions to NeoSTEM, to the Cleveland and Cuyahoga County communities, and to the entire STEM ecosystems community were significant. And then there were the contributions to his family. Dr. Robinson, Terrence, as he would often remind us, was the devoted father of 5. And we are all deeply, deeply saddened by his untimely passing. And we're putting our heads together for how NeoSTEM can honor his memory and his vision for what this region could be. Alyssa and others are reaching out to his family now to discuss trying to establish a scholarship in his honor, and we'll keep you very posted about this. Terrence was a force, and we will miss him terribly. Now, I knew Terrence very well, and one of the things that I know for sure about Terrence is how committed he was to helping ensure that Black and Brown students have more opportunities to pursue STEM. He was passionate about the work we're discussing today. So at least to me, this work has even more purpose. And I hope you'll join me in continuing this work in his memory. Okay, I'd like to call your attention to the I Am STEM profiles that are on the website, and to tell you how proud we are that they're also on Harvard's Amgen Lab Exchange portal. And what's more is that we have several more in the works. Our interns who've, I think at least one of them has joined us today, are helping create these profiles of female STEM professionals of color, as part of this goal to make sure that youth and adults in Cleveland, in the Cleveland metropolitan area, know that STEM looks like them. Whatever they look like, STEM looks like them. We know that it's critically important that we continue to have these conversations and that we continue to share these images of people of brilliance, of leadership, of prestige, of learning, so that we can make sure to lift everyone in Cleveland to the opportunities that are around for them. We're asking any of you, any partners who are interested in having printed copies of these posters to distribute at your sites. Drop a note in the chat right now. We'll reach out how to coordinate how many you'd like, how you'd like them branded. Alyssa mentioned to me earlier that she's absolutely willing to co-brand them if you'd like NeoSTEM and your organization's name, so that you can hang these in the lobby or areas where kids can see them, areas where people will see them. Let us know that. Reach out to Alyssa, put your name in the chat, and we will get those delivered to you. This is a really cool opportunity and a simple way to extend our message of inclusion in STEM. In other news, we've mentioned several times in these earlier meetings about this really, really exciting new initiative that we have, STEM Night with the Cavaliers. It's moving on really, really well. We hold planning meetings every Friday at noon. If you ever want to pop on, let us know, and we'd love to have you. We're now seeking organizations. These are 2 asks that I have for all of you, for your organization, but also if you have colleagues, if you have friends who work in other organizations that you could pass this along to, please do. The 2 asks. The first is, If you're interested in applying to conduct a 5 to 10 minute walk by table activity or a 30-minute or so interactive workshop events, as well as a limited number of 30 to 45-minute sort of main stage exhibitions, we are looking for people to apply to fill all of those roles. This is an all-day event with students of all ages and adults. And so we need to make sure that whenever people attend, that they can walk around and participate in little mini activities, that they can break out to do something bigger that might interest them, and that there's something up on that main stage that's exciting and visual and gets people excited about STEM. So if you have interest in any of those roles, please go ahead. There's an application link in the chat, or it should be soon. Please go ahead and fill out that application. We're also going to link, if it's not already in there now, a sponsor sheet. And I know that that first one is what we should be focusing on. And it's what Alyssa and John are, I think, most excited about. I keep ringing the bell of, unfortunately, we live in a world where we do need funding in order to bring this to the amount of Cleveland youth that we're hoping to bring this to. We are hoping to bring this to well over 1,000 Cleveland students. Get them out there, transportation, maybe meals, tickets to the game, all of those types of things. So we need a lot of sponsorship to make that happen. If your organization sponsors events like this, please pass it along to the people who are in charge of that. I think most of you, I know most of the organizations who participate regularly, and I think most of us don't work for that type of organization. We're all on the other side. We're on the side where we need funding. So if that's not a thing you can do, if it's not if you don't have a funding arm that could sponsor and help support this event, what you do likely have are vendors that you work with regularly, vendors that you are paying money to regularly who might be willing to sponsor in your name. So if your organization is a big customer of a company that sells something, food, technology, whatever it is, please consider introducing us to your rep. You can send that email to Alyssa or John. John or Alyssa can put their email in the chat now. Please just make sure to introduce us as soon as you can, and we will be reaching out to those folks to try to make this event both possible and as expansive and broad-reaching as we can. Finally, we're getting ready to launch our latest installment of the Wired program. Most of you are aware of what the Wired program is. There's a little blurb on the screen about it. Basically, Wired finds tech-savvy Cleveland area high school students and pairs them with local small business owners to help them improve their business's digital footprint. That might be websites, that might be videos, that might be social media presence, whatever it is that company needs in order to thrive in this world. We're giving students an opportunity to work and to learn about the world of work, the world of marketing, to gain some contacts. And we're allowing these local small businesses to have a broader reach. We've had such great success with this program in the past, and we're excited for the next round. We have spots for 8 students and 8 businesses in this next round. So please help us spread the word to anyone who's interested. If you'd like more information on the program, please contact John Rozchek. John is also putting, I believe, in the chat, both the student application and the business application. Even if you can't think of someone right now, please go ahead, open those links, bookmark them, save them, so that when tonight at 2 a.m. you think of that business, of your neighbor's business, of a business that you frequent, when you think of that student who's brilliant and could use an opportunity like this, that you have it handy and you can send it along. All right, so that's it for our updates. We normally have this long, kind of robust, formal agenda portion. We do have some things in the hopper, but both because we knew that this was going to be kind of a little bit of a smaller meeting, and also because of the loss of our friend, Dr. Robinson, we decided to shift things a little more. Milani is always mentioning we have these little post meetings a lot. And I think that if the thing that Milani says the most in those post meetings is that we all need more and more opportunities to grow as a community, to get to know each other, to learn, to meet people, to learn about what we do. And that's what we'd like to do a little bit today. So back to Dr. Terrence Robinson. Some of us got to know him really well because he attended and presented at a few in-person convenings of the STEM Learning Ecosystems Community of Practice. He and Alyssa and I and a few others hung out, frankly, until unspeakable hours of the morning, getting to know each other. We didn't start by talking about work or STEM. I bet it was 2 or 3 meetings that I had with Terrence before I even knew that he worked at Magnet. I didn't even know he was from Cleveland when we first started hanging out, because we met in, I think, Tampa. We talked about ourselves. We talked about our lives. We talked about our kids. We got to know each other. We had coffee, we had lunch, we had dinner, we had a beer. We talked about the things that were important to us. We talked about our interests, and we talked about our passions in STEM. Before I ever reached a point where I would ask Dr. Robinson for help, before I ever reached a point where I'd ask him for advice or for an introduction, or before he ever asked me, we built relationships and friendships and trust. So when I needed that advice, when Alyssa needed that advice or help, Terrence was a first call, and vice versa. And that's the kind of relationship building that isn't totally possible in these days because of COVID. I'm really, really looking forward to a time that I hope isn't very long from now, when we can actually meet together in a room again, and when afterwards we can mingle and have a sandwich and a cup of coffee or a beer or whatever it is. But we're going to do our best. So this is our only agenda item for today. Like I said, I think we're going to close out quite a bit early today. We have just this one agenda item. We're going to go into breakout groups, really small ones, and we're going to try to do it a little differently than we normally do. This is going to, I think, fail near the end of what I'm about to do, but it's going to be great in the beginning. And that is, we'd like to put you into some rooms with people that you don't know at all. I'm going to give you a couple things to talk about before we break out. But first, I'm going to kind of randomly pick some of you, and I'm going to ask you to tell me 2 people who are in the room right now with us who you don't know, who you've never met, who you know nothing about or know very, very little about. That'll be your group, and we'll have a couple of things for you to talk about, and then we'll come back together. All right. So I'm going to go to, frankly, some of our regulars, because I think they're the most likely to know the most people and therefore have the smallest pool of brand new people to talk to. So, I always go to 2 people, our friend Amani, who's not here today, and our friend Karen. Why? Because they always have answers for me. So I always go to them first. So Karen, since you're here with us right now, could you tell me really quickly 2 people who you don't know, and John's going to put you in a room together?
Sure. And I apologize if I have met you in the past and I say your name. It must mean that I haven't seen you for a while. So there are a couple coverage. Yeah, thank you. I have to throw that out there. There are a couple of names here that I'm looking, and like I said, and some of these people I may just know their names, but don't know much about them either. So that's why I'm going to throw this out there. So I see Ramona Lowry. See that name up there. I know I've seen you before, but I don't know much about you. So I'd love to know more about you. And then I think also Matt Richardson is another one that I would just like to know more about.
Perfect. Thank you, Karen. Next to Karen on my screen is Alex Leslie. Alex, who are a couple of people that you don't know. And pretty soon here, we're going to start forgetting names. So John, you're going to have to yell, that person's already picked or something.
Let's see. I don't know quite a few people. Barbara, I see you. I don't know if we've met before. And now I'm worried that I am going to say somebody who's already picked. I think Elle. I don't think you and I know each other either. So
Ella and Barbara, thank you. Kirsten, what about you? Or a couple of people that you have not had a chance to meet before?
That's I'm looking. So I was there's Ella and Elle. I don't think I've met either one of them. I know Alex chose one, and I'm going to go down to the bottom of the list. So forgive me if we've met. Robin Hilsmeyer.
Perfect. And I'm going to give a blanket. If we've already met, everyone is forgiven. All right. Milani, how about you?
Yeah, so I don't know, Matt. Or Elle.
I just put an extra comment. I just put an extra comment in the chat that it could be somebody that y'all want to get to know better. How about that? as well. So we're going to broaden it out a little bit.
Okay, so who's in Milani's room? Who did she tap?
I think she picked two people who have already been picked. So I'm going to say, Milani, have you had a chance to meet
Julie or Sarah Wallace? I don't think I really know them.
Perfect. All right. Now we're getting to the point where I don't remember who we've called on before. I think somebody mentioned Robin's name. I don't think anybody yet has said Alexander Robertson. So Alexander, who are a couple of people you don't know yet?
I think the couple people that I do know have already chosen other groups, so you can randomly choose two people who
All right. How
have
about
not been chosen.
Howen and Barbara for Alexander? Lauren, how about you? Anybody you haven't met yet?
I don't know most people, so you can also just throw me in any group too.
All right, let's call it Charisse and the hands-on health twins. And I think that is close to everyone. And look, maybe we could put Claire, Julie, and Sarah together, and then I think that might be everyone are really close to it. John, who?
No, we're
else
gonna go
missing?
Claire, Dominique, and Amy,
Okay.
and then that just leaves the NeoSTEM people. Is the only you, Alyssa, and I are the only unassigned people.
That's all right. We'll jump around like we do. All right. So we've got our groups. Here's what I'd like you to talk about. Anything you want. All right. If a conversation goes in another direction, that is totally fine. But what I'd like you to start with is this, based on the memory that we have of our early days with Dr. Robinson. What is it that makes you trust someone? What is it that makes you trust an organization? I'd like you to talk first a little bit about that. For you, maybe not broadly, but for you individually, what is it that makes it so this is a person that you know you can call on? This is a person that you're good with calling on you, and you can rely that they're going to have an answer for you, that they might be able to help. And if they can't help, they're going to point you to somebody who can. So that is the first question. And then what I'm hoping you'll do with that, this is maybe a little bit too much hope, but I'm going to try it anyway. We're all in Northeast Ohio. We all miss seeing other people. Whatever it is that you decide in your little group of three, whether it's you all agree or not, whatever it is that you decide is the first step in building that relationship, I'd like you to try to commit to doing that thing with the people that are in your group. If you see people in person, if you're a person who is going out and seeing people in person and you want to meet for coffee or breakfast or something, great, plan that. If you're not, if you're a person who doesn't see people in person, maybe a Zoom coffee. If you are a person who needs to ask for a favor or advice first, think of something that you could schedule a meeting and ask for advice about. The people who are in your room, everybody who's in this organization has something to offer you and your organization. So find the things that can bring you tighter and bring you together. That's what I'd like you to do. Discuss first what it is that builds trust, then try to make a commitment to do that. We're going to bring you all back in a little bit to learn a bit about what you learned and decided, and whether or not you're able to kind of make that commitment for a next step. And then, like I said, I think we're going to end up closing out a little bit early. I imagine you'll be in these rooms for in the neighborhood of 15 to 20 minutes, depending on how the conversations go as we bounce around. So we're going to open those rooms now. If you have any trouble, you can stay here in this room, or when you get in the breakout room, you should have a little I need help button that you can click, and that'll come to John and I, and we can go from there. So we'll see you all in just a little bit. Welcome back, Elle and Alex. Barbara, nice to meet you. Barbara, what do you teach?
I don't really teach. I'm a curriculum supervisor.
Well,
So-
first of all, you do teach. I was once a
Yeah,
curriculum
I-
supervisor. It's a hard job.
Yeah. So I actually spent lots of years. I've done everything 1 to 8. Mostly,
Okay.
whenever I get really frustrated with things at a high school level or whatever, I just step back and say, I'm really a first grade teacher. I'm really a first grade teacher. But so yes, I can go into any first grade. I do a lot with the career
Excellent.
exploration. So when I get into a classroom, it's usually careers.
Sorry, everyone. When there's a teacher in the room, I always have to know what they do because
That's okay.
I miss being in a school.
Yep.
Not
Yep.
enough to go back, but I do miss it.
Well, we would put you to work immediately.
Well, welcome back, everyone. I hope that you had some good conversations. We'll get back to kind of normal agenda-y types of things next time, but I hope that you learned something about the people who you were with. And took maybe a couple of steps towards. Ebony, I apologize. I just muted you. And I'll hit the unmute button here in a second so that you can. We're just getting a little bit of feedback. I hope you had a chance to talk and learn a little bit, maybe make some plans. I really hope it, I saw a little explosion celebration icon from Alex, which you shouldn't have done, Alex, because that means that now I'm going to ask you first. Who did you meet with? What did you learn? What are your plans?
I had a great conversation with Barbara and Elle, and we exchanged email addresses and talked a lot about just sharing resources with each other. We especially enjoyed just seeing what connections we have, even though we're from different parts of the state and work in different areas. And I guess I'll just feels like the music got louder as I started talking. Which is fine. I like the song, it's fine. But I suddenly couldn't follow my own train of thought. We did especially talk about some online resources that they have at the Federal Reserve Bank and some of the programs they have that you make IT better, how to get some of the young people in our regions connected to that. As well as some online modules. So I think there's already some obvious connections that we have and we're going to follow through on.
I love that. I think resource sharing is a really, really critical one. I always think about how they say that Isaac Newton basically knew everything. I mean, maybe not quite, but everything. He knew all of the known world's knowledge or something. But we can't do that anymore. There's too much information out there. The only thing that we can do is know the stuff that we work with directly and be a resource to others who might need to know those things. And it's a really, really powerful way to build those relationships. Probably, Alyssa, I don't know, what would you say? Probably a third of what we do in our line of work is just connecting people because we don't know it, they don't know it, but we know somebody who does know it. And that's a really, really powerful way to think about things. All right, Karen, I always come to you. Who are you with? I know I saw that Matt unfortunately had to roll, but you still had a partner. Who are you with, and what did you learn?
Yeah, hi. So it was lovely meeting Ramona, and she talked to me a little bit about her work with NSBE and the National Association of Black Engineers. And it was great because I was able to say, hey, you know what? We've had a lot of engineer programs at the Science Center where we highlight these engineering organizations and also showing students or showing families what's out there. So it was great. She gave me her schedule of when they meet. And so I know now the second Saturday of each month they meet in the morning. And I would love to try to find a time to bring them out where we can show them off as well. We get people in our Science Center, so how can we help highlight some of these other organizations that are doing great work?
I love it. And just think about the opportunities between Cleveland Water and the Great Lakes Science Center, which already has a lot of great content about water and about Lake Erie and all of those types of things. But there's so many opportunities there. Karen, that brings to mind something that I think I should mention to everyone. Is that Ramona, if you haven't met her yet, is the Cleveland Water Commissioner, and she is actually one of those profiled IM STEM people. So you'll be seeing her around the city as we start to show and explore everyone who the youth in Cleveland and Cleveland have access to. I see Alyssa giving a thumbs up and a little applause. It's very
It's
cool.
a correction.
Yeah,
It's not water, it's water pollution control. So it's a local sewer department, but thank you.
yes, sorry.
Thank
thank you for correcting me.
Everybody mixes us all up, sewer, water, but just wanted to make that correction. Thank you.
Yeah, that's now I think I need to learn more, because when I think sewer, I do think water, but there's a whole lot more to it than that. All right, so thank you for that, and I'm excited to see more about that. I'm going to ask for one more person to share. Alexander, I see you in the corner of my screen. Who did you meet with, and what did you learn about them and what they need for relationship building?
So I met with Ebony and Howen, and I know when we were asked to choose two people, I said two random, but I knew Ebony and I go way back. Howen, it was my first time meeting him, so that was enjoyable. Our conversation started around trust. So we talked about how it's earned, what are our personal experience around feelings about trust, et cetera, et cetera. Then we went into resources, so how we can share resources. Howen particularly talked about CMSD students and some of the struggles and finding a job opportunities and things like that. And then Emily chimed in and offered to open up a session where we're talking about just how to share opportunities at the sewer district with some of the CMSD students, and we share contact info.
I love it. And I'm so glad that you all had this opportunity to meet a little more and have some more conversations. We talk a lot about these kind of high profile projects, I Am STEM, Wired, the Cavs event, and those are important. But I would argue that it's possible that the two most important things that an ecosystem can do for its members are, number one, to amplify the work that you're already doing. So please continue to make sure to let Alyssa and John know about your upcoming programming, so that can be shared out amongst the community and to the broader audience. And number two, that we are all in this together. As cliche as that sounds, we're all in this together, and we all have access, resources, and knowledge that the other ones don't have. So the power that we have together is so much greater than the power we have individually. I hope that we can continue these conversations, and I hope that we continue to grow as a community until the day happens. I hope very soon, maybe this spring, knock on wood, where we can all get together and celebrate the work that's happened so far and really start to grow those relationships. We do have another one of these meetings coming up in December, just before Christmas and Christmas break. You'll hear more information about that when it occurs. As I mentioned earlier, we meet every Friday at noon about the Cavs event. If that's something that you'd like more direct participation in, please go ahead and reach out to Alyssa. And finally, most timely and most important, please remember those links that were in the chat before, and they'll be in the follow-up email later. If you know businesses or students who would be interested in the Wired program, get those applications passed out and filled out. And if you know people who are both interested in presenting, or maybe more importantly, in sponsoring the Cavs event, please think about that. Get that message out there. It's really critical. You're going to be getting some resources here soon with some optional copy and links to put out on your social media platforms and all of those things for the GoFundMe and to raise money for this event. We have an opportunity to both make a really big difference for Cleveland youth and also to get the NeoSTEM name so much bigger than it is now, which is only going to serve to bring new opportunities for all of you. So thank you all for bearing with us on this little bit different of a day today. I hope you had a little bit of fun, met somebody new, and we will see you all next time.